Hello, I'm Stephen, the man with the mustache, and welcome to The Creative Arts Show. This is the show where we aim to promote the creative arts industry and highlight the amazing people that work within it. Be sure to subscribe to our channel for any upcoming episodes, but more importantly, share this content because we're trying to promote and help an industry that really needs our help. Joining us today will be Michael Saleta. Michael is a songwriter who's played music for most of his life. He's recently gone to Nashville and found his niche in country music. He spent most of his quarantine lockdown in writing music. He's written like 100 songs over the last year. Pretty amazing stuff. Let's meet our guest. Well, thank you so much, Michael, for joining us on the show. How are you doing?
Great, thanks, man. How are you?
Yeah, I'm not too bad, doing pretty well. And as we can see, we've got some guitars in the background there. But please tell us, what do you do in the creative arts industry?
Songwriter.
Songwriter, beautiful. And what sort of genre? What, do you cover all bases, or you have a particular niche?
I've been focusing for the last year and a bit on country music.
Country music. Have you always played country music?
No, going back 10, probably 12 years ago, the last band, music project I did was more rock, AOR rock, so adult, contemporary rock. With big vocal harmonies.
Nice.
So as it's turned out, through the last year or so, there was an influence of country music growing up. My parents listened to it because I've got a bunch of their records that they gave to me that it's like, amazing. Oh my goodness, I can't believe how much that my parents were into country music now that, it's on my radar now. So, as a kid, you don't really want to listen to what your parents are listening to, right?
Yeah, exactly right. You do a lot of songwriting for country artists, or who do you do songwriting for yourself, or?
So I'm not wanting to be an artist. I kind of gave up on that and just kind of reignited my love for songwriting and that creative process. And I was mostly doing it on my own, probably for the last, 8 or so years, here and there, and not really getting too serious about it. And then a buddy of mine I used to be in a band with when we were teenagers, he moved to Nashville to open a cafe there. So, we got to talk and he's like, come to Nashville, blah, blah, blah. And then I kind of looked into it and, took a 6-week trip to America and went to Nashville for a week. And during that time, it was like, my goodness, this is incredible. What a place. And I went back there last year for 3 months. So I spent 3 months songwriting. I have been writing with artists. There's 2 artists here in country artists in Australia that I write with. Yes. Plus there's a Canadian artist. We're not talking big superstar artists. We're talking indie, independent country artists. Yeah, that's fine. Yeah. There's a young guy in Nashville that I write with who is probably country pop artist. So yeah, it's not specifically writing for or with an artist. It's a lot of the time it's like, okay, let's write a song that could potentially be pitched to a particular artist in the US.
Very nice, very nice. And obviously country music in Australia, it's popular, but it's not huge. It's not mainstream. But I know in the USA it is just,
it's a monster. It's an absolute monster. Yeah.
And it's its own entity in the whole music industry because it's almost self-sufficient and sustaining, and it's just like its own market. You know what I mean? It's crazy. Yeah,
absolutely. And country music so much nowadays, and even the last few years, hip hop's creeping into it. I mean, it was always kind of pop and contemporary in some way, but there are definitely different genres coming in because you've got Maren Morris, who's a country artist that did the middle track with Zed, so she's crossing over to pop, and you've got a lot of that, which is influencing country in a different way now too.
Yeah, exactly right, and it's branching off, and I think the collaborations there, and that's what it's always been, and with R&B especially, they were always featuring artists because it's all about the branding and getting as many markets and listeners as you can, and I think country's doing that now as well, and they're really expanding and getting creative with who they can collaborate with, which is kind of cool. And
it is.
I know there's probably some purists out there that probably don't enjoy it, but I do know that things need to evolve and need to survive and need to, stick with the times, so to speak. But that's just how the industry is. So during quarantine and lockdown and here in Melbourne, you've been writing songs, and that's how you've been,
Yeah, I'm not working at the
spending
moment. I'm fortunate that my wife, she works in the corporate world, so she's working and taking care of both of us, thankfully. And
nice.
she said, look, just while this is happening, just go full on, just make the most of it. I'm writing Monday to Friday every day with people in the US. So I'm making the most of this time to, build my repertoire of songs. And it's that thing, the more you do it, obviously the better you get at it, the better you understand the craft of songwriting, and not so much writing a song like I did 10 years ago. It was like, okay, what am I writing about? Whereas now there's, you sit down, okay, let's do this. Let's write the song this way, kind of thing. And a lot of the times it usually starts with a song title.
Yeah.
Which tends to be a whole lot easier to write, because if someone comes in with half an idea, then it's like, oh, well, this is kind of half an idea. Where do we go with this?
Yeah.
Whereas a song title, you have so many ways you can go with something. So it's a whole lot of fun.
It's sort of like you have your inspiration there, and then you can sort of branch off from it. Whereas if you start with just a guitar riff or a segment of a song, you're sort of stuck, and you're very your creativity is very narrow as compared to an idea where you can expand on that idea, and your creativity then is much more vast, and you can do more things with it. And you almost the 10,000 hours, there's the whole 10,000 hours of a craft. If you spend 10,000 hours, you tend to master it. And I guess with songwriting, as you do it more and more, like you said, you're just going to get better and better. You'll find formulas, you'll find what works, you'll find what doesn't work. And as well, I think your wife deserves Australian of the Year for just letting you jam out full time.
I know,
she takes care of the work.
She got people got an earful when I was in Nashville talking about how great she was. So I think a lot of people's success attributes to the people they surround themselves with.
Yeah. Yep.
You know what I mean?
Find positive people that you can bounce off as well, and people that support you. It's very important, and I think that's great. So what does your day look like then? So obviously you get up and you go for your walk down the beach, and then you get stuck into some songwriting, or obviously collaborating with America. There's the time difference and so on. So what's going on?
Yeah, so I'm doing a program at the moment called The Artist's Way. It's from a book that someone at in Nashville recommended that I do. It's a 12-week program, and the first thing you do when you wake up is 3 pages of freehand writing. Okay. So it's basically a journal.
Yep.
So you wake up and you just, whatever's on your mind, you just throw it on. It doesn't matter what it is. It doesn't have to, it's not the intention of writing a song. It's just getting stuff off your chest kind of thing. If you're feeling something, boom, clears your head. And then, so that's how I've been starting my day for the last 10 weeks.
Amazing.
Then I'll get dressed, put on my long johns, put on some track pants over the top because it's a bit
it's
chilly.
Freezing here, yeah.
So sometimes I'm getting up at 5 in the morning, depending on what time I have my first co-write, because I like to, obviously, do the pages, get up, go for the walk. That's usually about 30 minutes to 45 minute kind of walk.
Yeah.
I'll listen to like if I have a song that I'm working on, I've come back around full circle that I'm working on with a co-writer that day. I'll listen to that song on the walk.
Awesome.
Plus, I'll meditate on the walk as well. I use an app called Headspace.
Yeah.
So I'll do the walking app of that. Walking Headspace of that. Then I'll sit down and do a little bit more Headspace. Keep the head nice and clear. Listen to some current country kind of stuff. A playlist on Spotify called New Boots that kind of keeps my finger on the pulse of what's going on with new country music.
Yeah.
And then come home, have some breakfast, have a good strong cup of coffee.
Yeah.
And come up to the studio, and my first writes are usually at 7 a.m. Like 7 a.m. I do have 7 a.m. starts, 8 a.m. starts, 9 a.m. starts, or 10 a.m. starts, depending on what time my co-writers want to write in the US.
Yeah, that's crazy.
So that's like the 7 a.m. is 4 p.m. Nashville time.
Yeah. Okay.
And so forth. So I've got a couple of guys that prefer to start writing at 7 p.m. So that's our 10 a.m.
Yep.
Yeah. So
that's a very busy morning, and to some viewers they might be thinking That's absolutely crazy, the amount of meditation and self-reflecting you're doing. But it's so true. You know, I play music as well, and it's all about headspace. You know, motivation comes from a great headspace. Sometimes you're just way more creative than other days, and that comes from just things going on in your life, how you feel. You know, you feel good, you feel bad. You know, it just adds fuel to that creative fire. You know what I mean? So it's awesome that you're doing that sort of stuff and channeling that energy.
And I think it's created a really great habit, and my brain's getting so used to it that it's like, okay, switch, here it goes. Yeah. We're writing now. And the great thing about co-writing is that you're bouncing off so many different ideas. Like when I write with Mike and Kipper, I think we're up to about our 26th song together. We've got one doc, because we use Google Docs. I think it's got about 15 pages just worth of ideas that everyone just starts typing, and from that we form a song. So songs can go in a bunch of different areas before you go, that's kind of not working with that, and then we turn it around and try and get it working towards the hook of the song and the idea of the song.
Yep. So with all those ideas and all that influence, it's great, but then do you ever have writer's block? How do you handle writer's block? Do you ever have a bad day?
You know what? I've got to the point where I don't believe in it.
Yeah.
I don't think there's such a thing as writer's block.
To
be honest with you, I think that's a poor excuse. But, you can sit down and write anything. It's okay to suck.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Dare to suck and push through it. Just write the crappy song. Because, I was kind of, coming up to this interview, I was just stock taking on how many songs I've written since July 17 last year. And it's 108 that I'm up to that I've co-written in that time. I've written 2 on my own, but that's how many. And when you're doing that all the time, you can't be sort of thinking about, I'm stuck kind of thing. You just type something in, and then someone will, even if it's not the idea, someone will go from that idea, because they'll read it and they'll be like, hang on. Oh, yeah. So the crappy idea, step by step, leads into the great idea.
That's amazing.
So it's really okay to suck at the start. So that's why I don't think there's, writer's block. Just write, hello, I'm doing this, blah, 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 or crack a joke or do something silly and funny, which creates momentum.
Yeah, exactly right. And that's great advice to other viewers. Normally I ask the artists and people that come on the show to give some advice to the other artists. And I think that's it. There is no writer's block. Just keep pushing through it and, keep going. Obviously, collaboration is very important for you as well. So how have you mentioned Google Docs and so on. How have you been able to collaborate? What tools are you using? Software? Are you using Zoom? Are you using things like Jammer? I know apps like Jammer exist and stuff like that. How do you normally go about it?
It's been totally Zoom since that's kind of gone through the roof since the start of the year, and with COVID hitting. Last year we were using one of my co-writers' preferred Instagram video. So we were Instagram videoing, sometimes Messenger, Skype, but then I just decided to subscribe to Zoom, and that way, unlimited hours. Plus it records the session, which is really great. Because if you just so happen to miss a great melody that you came up with, you're like, we'll just have to look back at the video. So that's a really great thing about that platform. So it makes sense to me as a songwriter to have that there, and then once it's recorded and downloaded to my computer, I share it with my co-writers. So then if someone needs to make what we call a work tape, which is just a guitar and vocal of that particular song, then it's easy for them to look back on the video as well.
Very good. So
use that. Google Docs is a way that everybody can just type in their lyric ideas live. So that's pretty much it. Zoom, Google Docs. That's the tools of the trade, I guess. In the current
sort of
climate for the songwriter.
That's unreal. And for your audio setup, what sort of stuff are you using? You just using interfaces and so on, and preamps? And then
I've got a Scarlett 4i4 that goes obviously into my MacBook Pro, using a Rode. It's an M1? I can't remember what model it is. And I'm for recording, because I'm learning to track a bit better nowadays. because in Nashville, being a track person, which is somebody that while you're writing the song, you start building a track. So that's becoming a very popular thing in Nashville to be able to do that. So, I've got Logic to help me work on those skills. So then you become more of an asset in the writer's room if you can have a demo ready to go at the end of the 3 or 4 hours.
Having that engineering side of things and combining engineer and producer and songwriter all into the one thing. Yeah,
and the great thing about a demo, it doesn't need to sound like it's radio ready. It's just giving a publisher an idea of what the song would potentially sound like.
Yep.
Yeah.
Now, have you received any government support throughout the pandemic and anything like that, or just been looked over like most of the other artists?
Yeah, I haven't even bothered applying simply because I wasn't really earning any money before as a songwriter. I got my small royalty from APRA, which I'm really grateful for. But yeah, there's an American Express grant going around. I think they're offering some money at the moment, but I'm not quite sure if I exactly qualify for that. Because just being a songwriter, like I've applied for through Creative Vic grants before, and being just a songwriter, doing trips to Nashville to further your skills as a songwriter, it just doesn't seem to be looked upon favorably. Whereas if you're a band and you're going to do an album and you need government grant to do that, that's more of something they'll give out the grants for.
Yeah, they don't see it as substantial enough, but it's
very tricky. It's not,
and most of the people
not a huge thing.
Yeah, a lot of people I've spoken to as well, people are just falling through the cracks, which is sad. It sucks, Yeah,
it certainly does.
Tell us about the NSAI.
Okay, so that's I joined that. Sarah joined for me. It was a birthday present that she joined. Because of the interest in Nashville, and we were advised. So
NSAI,
you're going to go to Nashville Songwriters Association International.
Okay, very good.
So it's handy for people that live on the other side of the earth. Obviously now they're doing a lot of online stuff, which is great. I mean, previously they were doing online content that I could just click onto the website, go into my membership and watch videos that were, of particular workshops, songwriting tips and all that kind of stuff, which was valuable to me. And then, I utilized NSAI so much when I was in Nashville for 3 months. I was there every week doing stuff, going to workshops, meeting with the member reps, stuff like that. Mentors, they have mentors that, give you advice on songwriting and stuff like that. It's an incredible community, and it made me feel like I belonged. What I mean? Probably for one of the first times in my life, you're always trying to figure out where you are. And,
if it can give you some purpose and belonging, that's great.
And it's just, it's a really good organization that supports songwriters. And they're actually, one of the guys, Bart Herbison, who is the executive, I can't remember what his next title is, executive something. So he's kind of like the second boss in charge of NSAI. He goes to Washington a lot, Capitol Hill, and they're the guys that are pushing for the pay rise with Spotify, for songwriters to get the pay rise. So they've been doing that. Yeah. So their NSAI is huge advocates for songwriters getting more money. So which is great. So they. Yeah, it's an incredible cause. Plus they're there to support songwriters.
That's great.
And through that, I've benefited so much. Just going to song camp for 3 days, meeting all the people I met. It's not like a band camp. So when you say song camp, people are like, is that like band camp? It's like, no, it's not like band camp. You just meet a whole bunch of other songwriters,
meeting people, and
and you get thrown into a room. Everybody at song camp, so there's about 100 people. Everyone gets put into groups for this songwriting exercise. So there was about 16 groups all up. I was in a group of 6. So we all got a song title except for you. So you had basically 4 hours to write a song. With people you'd never met before. And which was awesome. I was, anxiety was going through the roof, and I know that a couple of the other people that I wrote with were feeling exactly the same thing. They, one girl wanted to walk out. She was like, "Oh, this is just too much for me," because she'd never written with anyone before.
Wow.
So yeah, it's just stuff like that and those experiences and the people that you meet. You have to be in Nashville, like the opportunities. You know, you need to be somewhere in order to be presented with opportunities in order to take them. You know, being in Melbourne, you can't just be a songwriter and expect to write songs in Nashville, kind of thing. You know what I mean?
Yeah,
you need to be there.
You have to get in there and get your hands dirty in Nashville. You know, it's just cool.
And NSAI have been, you know, it's just been a great direction for me. You know, they do a thing where they have like one to watch, which is acknowledging songwriters sort of on their way up. Yeah. And I think I'm up to my 6th one this year, where, you know, what you do is you submit a song for feedback from a professional songwriter, and they'll give you critique on your song. That's cool. if they think, you know, if they think you've done a great job, they say, hey, you know, this songwriter's a one to watch. So that's been really cool, you know, kind of, and it helped me feel that, I'm on the right path now. I'm heading in the right direction because I'm getting acknowledgement here and there from certain things happening that it's like, wow, this has not really happened before in my life. I've gotten a certain certain distance with bands, and it's like, this is rocking, and then everything kind of falls apart, and it's like it doesn't feel like that now. This feels like this is, you know, my true north, legit. So to speak. Yeah.
That's awesome. Now, thank you so much, and thank you for sharing a part of your life that's going on right now, and it's absolutely awesome that you can do what you love in lockdown and still be kicking goals.
Yeah, thank you. I'd love to do a song for everybody, a song that I co-wrote with a guy in Nashville by the name of Aaron Lechlak. We got together a couple of times when I was on my summer trip, and we ended up writing this track, which I really love. Started off one way, and it finished another. So, this is called Drink to Remember. I think you'll get the gist of what's going on. It goes a little something like this. I haven't seen you since God knows when, man, it feels like 1,000 years. But time flies like ash from the bonfires we had when we were kids. I still got your number in my phone. Yeah, think about calling every time I'm coming home, but I don't. So can I get a hell yeah for all the good times that we had? Man, we turn it up on the weekend. Every time the Georgia Bulldogs gotta win, I save the seat for ya with your name on the back of a bar stool, so nobody will ever forget ya. Every 3rd of December, drink to remember. Still drink to remember. Man, I miss you and a lot has changed, but some things never do. I got married and we had a little boy, we named him after you. You bet I wouldn't get that Taylor Swift hat. Man, you still owe me $20 for that. Oh yeah, so can I get a hell yeah for all the good times that we had? Man, we turn it up on the weekend. Every time the Georgia Bulldogs gotta win, I saved a seat for ya with your name on the back of a bar stool, so nobody will ever forget ya. Every 3rd of December, I still drink to remember. And every last call's like a picture on a postcard wishing you were still here. So I put my money down for another round, and I'll see you when I get there. So can I get a hell yeah for all the good times that we had? Man, we turned it up on the weekend. Every time the Georgia Bulldogs gotta win, I saved a seat for ya with your name on the back of a bar stool, so nobody will ever forget ya. Every 3rd of December, still drink to remember. to remember. I still drink to remember. I still drink to remember. Still drink to remember. Cool. Thank you. Thank you. Awesome to have played a song for everybody. Cheers.
Well, what an interesting interview. Thank you, Michael, for joining us. Let us know what you thought of that song in the comments below. We'll leave Michael's socials and the details below as well. But be sure to like this video, hit that thumbs up, and subscribe to our channel as well for any future content. But like I said earlier, share this content because we're trying to spread the word and help an industry that really needs our help. Once again, I'm Stephen, the man with the mustache. Thanks for watching The Creative Arts Show, and we'll catch you next time.